Hi, this is Jack with Team Schism, and I'm here with both Dom and Robbie just after European Championships, and they both played the same deck list, which is
Left and Spright.
Yeah, left and Spright.
very nice. Do you want to both get into your lists?
Yeah, so I'll go first. So first thing, played standard Spright list. We played 3 blue, 3 jets, 2 red, 1 carrot, and I played 1 pixies.
Very nice.
The pixies is like the off part, but the issue I have with this deck is it's very brittle in battle phase. So like, Pancreas summoning battles the board, and also like a lot of the times your opponent, if they super poly you, if like you have both a toad and like a swap on field, and they super poly you, and then they summon the new fusion, they can then punch over elf. But if you have like a pixies, you can like pixies protect by sending it. They get a draw, but in your main phase 2 you can at least summon toad back and you get your omni it back, which is very nice just to like make sure they can't break your board plus set up. Final card was free starter. It's the only 1 card starter that is a Spright card. It's your best search hopper jet. And then we also had 1 copy of Smashers. It's non-targeting removal. If you're into tier, it removes Kit Coloss, and then a lot of the times they end their turn. And it also means it just gets rid of problem cards, like gets rid of mine is just one really big example.
Yep.
Next for the twins, 3 Lilla, 2 Kiss-a-Kill, and 1 Sunny Snitch. So the reason I run 1 Sunny is it's a hard once per turn, and it just like breaks your hand if you draw multiple. And also, it doesn't matter which one of these you open, because if you can resolve Lilla's summoning Kiss-a-Kill from deck, and you have the ability to search, you can search another copy of Frost. You special with Frost, you control Lilla, and it's a level 2 Aqua. So you can summon Toad as your 4th summon, and because you summon Toad as your 4th summon, you're very, very immune to hand traps, which is very nice to try and carry on forwards. And it means that like, if you have like any other name, you can Gigantic, and Gigantic almost always resolves unless your opponent has like double hand trap. And if they have double hand trap, then the deck kind of is already in a bad place as is. But it also means you just kind of like get follow up. It's a sick draw because if they break your board, you can have Lilla access. It just puts you straight back into the game because it's 2 level 2s. The main reason why this deck is good, the Frog Engine, it's quite simple. Summon swap from deck with Gigantic, send Ronin, bring back swap, summon it again, send swap, make a Toad, and then you summon Toad in your opponent's turn because they're elf. It's the most simple part of the deck.
Yep. Did you ever miss the Duke Frog? Or?
Oh, Duke Frog is a mistake. So if you ever play Duke Frog, if you're summoning Duke Frog, it means that you're like just playing into 2 poly, and with how prominent tier is in the format, I don't just want to take a risk where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna lose like half my board to 1/2 poly. So like it's really bad in that aspect. The other reason I really don't like it is it's the worst card to normal summon if you have to play, and also like you never get the search effect because most of the times you've gone through your swaps turn 1. So I don't think Dupe was needed, and there was no time where I was like, oh, I've got Dupe plus Ronin in graveyard, like the extra body just helps me summon, because a lot of times as long as you don't greed, you have a swap frog still in grave at the end of your turn. So like your follow-up is always this, you never have to have the extra frog name to try and play on your turn if they don't break it.
I think the only positive of Duke Frog would be that it can help insulate your plays when people go straight to battle phase to try and beat over the elf to stop the revive of Toad. But even then, it's probably not worth playing the brick.
Yeah, like it's A, brick, and B, like you lose to super poly more with it, and like it basically you either lose to super poly or you lose to battle. And if you've got pixies and stuff in your deck, like the battle bit can be more prevented. So I don't think you need to. Like it's a name on board that like doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Hand trap wise, best hand trap of the format, DD Crow. It's literally Cold Battle go against 2 elements. Like turn 1, you don't have to set it, it's just cool, they milled 1, banish it, it keeps them off a Kit Coloss and it stops them from like being able to play. It's also nice, it means you can just remove their cards from field and they don't get to trigger. Free Veiler, his Kit Coloss, because I expect a lot of Spright mirrors, if you open up 2 hand traps, like this just instantly baits Gigantic, and like if they only have Gigantic on board, it's fine, and if not, you attempt to hit Gigantic and they have to red, and if you have any other hand trap, you still negate the Gigantic, so you're fine. Which they don't end on the board unless they have like insane frog access. They're not getting to elf plus toad, so you can usually break the board from there onwards. Free Imperm, it's no free copies of Ayla. It's very self-explanatory. Free Ghost Ogre. This hand trap is awful into tier, and I sided it out most of my tier matches. However, when you're playing into the Spright Mirror, which a lot of my games were, it's genuinely like the best card in the deck, because it's the only hand trap that isn't Gamma, that removes Gigantic from board, and you don't have to run a brick for, obviously. But you can go like Chainlink 1 Gigantic, and if you have any other like of these, you just win the game, because you negate the red, and then they are stuck on a board of just red a lot of the time, and they need to have an extra extender, and even then they get to Elf, and then Elf brings back red, and the board is just breakable. Worst hand trap in my opinion is actually Ash. It's okay into tier if they're in a bad place and if they don't have much card advantage, but on its own, Ash just doesn't do a lot this format. It hits Gigantic, which was the reason I was running 15 in the first place, and like a lot of times it can keep the mirror match off of red. When you're playing into tier, which a lot of my matchups were, it's really good, but this deck struggles a lot against Mathmech, and like one Ash Blossom doesn't help you into the Mathmech matchup, because a lot of the time, because Circular sends for cost for some reason, you can't stop them sending the Sigma, and it doesn't stay in hand. And then if you Ash the on-field effect, they still have the Sigma plus the Circular, and they've not committed to a normal summon, so they commit the Mathmech XZs, and they search anywhere. So, like, any extender in Mathmech and they win, it doesn't hit tier enough for me to really care about it, because a lot of the times they can chain block the kick loss anyway. And yeah, I think this is the worst hand trap, but you have to play because it's Ash Blossom.
Do you think you'd end up cutting it for something to respect the Mathmech matchup more, or just not worth it at that point?
My ideas on the Mathmech matchup were very in the extra deck, because I'll get into it in a second, but like I feel like my extra deck should have been a lot different because of Mathmech. I thankfully only saw it once, but in the one time I saw it, I lost hard. I lost hard because he just played into the board, which Mathmech can just like extend for a Spright board, which is very scary. Unironically, I think Duke Frog is very good into that deck, but like again, tier is just a better deck. Yeah. Final card's Callbite. It's the best one in the game. It's insane. It stops 12 of these cards on the table, and all of these like stop your plays in some regard. Yeah. Again, it's another copy of DD Crow if you're going first into tier.
So in my list, I have different options for the hand trap section.
We'll get into that, yeah.
Best XZ monster in the game.
Yep.
Second best XZ monster in the game. The reason I played Live Twins was to summon this card. So it's basically, Lilla's a dark monster, and if you have Lilla plus Jet or Blue, you can make a sick board of like IP Mask, Toad, Ginbuster, and you make Ginbuster as your 4th summon. And you can get to another red or carrot before you go into Gigantic, meaning they have to have 3 hand traps to like stop your board properly. It is a bit high roller because like they still lose to Imperm, but even still, like if you pass on a board of like Elf, Red plus this, not a lot of decks is putting up, like they never make an unbreakable board. Yeah. And like if you have hand traps as well, like you're usually still ending on like 3 to 4 points for interaction, which is very nice. Zeus package. It's insane. Like if you like dark roll their board or something and you just need a way to kill, this is just your way to do it. Cat Shot, because it helps push for games. It's probably the worst XZ in the extra deck, but I felt like it was needed a lot of time. Slightly controversial, run free Elf. So I was stuck between either playing 1 dark, 2 Elf, or playing free Elf. But free Elf I just feel is better because like the theory on dark is you're taking your opponent's monsters to do the same thing. But like if you're playing a grind game and you don't have a blue or jet in the graveyard, there's something wrong. So like this card is just better into like, in my mind it's better into the tier matchup because you always have the access yourself. I played access code Unicorn IP. So IP into Unicorn is just a nice little interruption of your opponent's turn. Especially into, if they normal summon like just any Spright, you can like bounce it and then you put them on starter, and then if you negate starter they usually just like have to end their turn. Yeah. Unless they're on E-Telly for Gamma. So this little pack, and like if you have Unicorn, you can just like summon access code at the start of your turn. You can pop a couple cards and you can just push for game because it's 53 at that point. Last card was Almirage for the Swap Frog play, where if you only have a Swap Frog, it still gets you to a Toad Gigantic. Yeah. Which was, it never came up. The only time it came up was when I was trying to push for game, and like I top decked into like a Swap Frog, and I was like, normal Swap Frog, then I link it off to use the Ronin Graveyard to get a free Elf. but like I do think this card's kind of needed. You can cut it, but there's not much reason to.
Yeah, you'd rather have it and not need it.
Yes. I will let him go over his theory on the deck.
Sure.
Before anything else.
So I play a smaller Spright package. So it's got the 3 blue, 3 jet, 1 red, 1 carrot, then of course the 3 starter and 1 smashers. So I missed having a second red. The pixies, I do wish I'd tested with it more, but I kind of liked the ratios that I had with this. Didn't really brick on having too many of the names that didn't really sort of provide any further input to my end boards, and I could search for the ones that I needed. Meant I could play different flex spots within the deck as well.
Yeah.
So similar to Dom, I played 3 Lilla, which is the best live twin, and 2 Frost. So again, like Dom said, these come up to help make Toad, so Aqua monsters. With the Sunny Snitch, so I played 3 instead of Dom's 1. So whereas Dom didn't want to brick on having extras, what I found was an issue with the Spright deck is that you need more ways to a level 2. So I didn't mind if I opened maybe 1 or 2 of these as redundant cards, as it was always a way to another level 2, which I could then just normal summon, get another level 2 on the go. So in like a grind game situation, where you've potentially got a Ronin Toadin in graveyard, you can banish the swap, summon the Ronin Toadin, potentially search for another twin just to normal summon, and just you can play from there.
Might be a redundant question, but did the burn effect ever come up on Sunny Snitch?
It did for me, because my extra deck's different to Dom's, and I'm playing the Evil Twin monsters.
Yeah. Do you think it mattered in the end, or?
I did win in time, 1 game.
Very nice.
The true reason the card's good.
Yeah. So again, 3 Swap Frog and the Ronin Toadin. Again, you don't need Duke Frog. You can play Duke Frog if you really want to play Duke Frog, but this is completely fine.
Did it fancy losing to Super Poly?
Absolutely not. I mean, you can lose to Super Poly anyway, and even if you have the elf and a carrot or a red, half your board's gone, so watch out for that guy. My list is different, so I'm playing Triple Tactics Talent. This has come up a hell of a lot this weekend. Against the mirror matches, I played quite a lot of mirror matches. Lost pretty much every single dice roll of the weekend. Went to a board, just baited a card out. Most of them went for the first card you applied to the board. They were immediately throwing Toad at it.
Yeah.
Steal the elf.
Yeah.
Play.
I will say quickly on this. I think that me not playing this was a big mistake, because especially in this deck, there's not a single hand trap outside of Gamma that ends the turn. And because there's no one hand trap that else the board, even going first, like, a lot of the times it's either a hand rip, so you can, like, just know your opponent's hand at the very least, or, like, it's a draw 2 to dig for an extender, or, like, if you're in second, obviously you take a card like Elf, and you just get to play on anywhere.
Yeah.
There is, like, this card has, like, 4 applications across, like, the game, where it's like, okay, take certain cards, and I really regret not playing Triple Tax. I think this card is like almost mandatory in this deck list after this weekend.
Yeah, it's awesome. I barely ever went for draw 2. It was mostly just steal my opponent's monster.
Yeah.
1 call by the grave. Should probably be banned. So yeah, I'm playing 3 Ash Blossom. This was fine, it hits Gigantic Sprite. I played a few of the branded 2 elements. So you wait to see if they have branded fusion. Just clear branded fusion, fine. 3 DD Crow. I think everyone's just playing this to try and stop the 2 elements deck. It helps against Spright. So if they go for Ronin Toadin, you can banish the Ronin Toadin away. It's always been really good in that application. They just end on boards of of like elf and a either a red or carrot or an IP Masquerena.
Yeah.
So I don't really go far with that.
I'm gonna say it also helps into Mathmech quite a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I
which,
played with
again, you
Mathmech.
yeah.
Send the Sigma, Banish Sigma. But I have 3 names for Super Factorial. So my hand trap lineup was different. So I played 2 Ghost Ogre. I was playing 3 before, but I wanted to play Ghost Spell. So I was playing 2 Ghost Spell. So similar to Call by the Grave and the talents, I wanted more cards that would help insulate plays rather than sort of cards to interrupt my opponent. So with Ghost Spell, it's good for protecting plays from the DD Crow, which is in pretty much every single main deck. It's good for stopping the Elf Reborn. You can also negate the Toad if it's trying to negate a monster. It's just a lot of good applications, and if your opponent stacks their chain links incorrectly with 2 elements, you can negate that as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's a really good punish card overall,
Yeah.
just in the format. I didn't think it before this weekend. It's really good.
I love it. I kind of wish I played 3, but it worked very well.
Yeah.
And then just 3 infinite impermanents, which is, I think, it's a staple. But yeah, that's the main. The extra.
I know in testing with both of you, the extra deck is where quite a lot of it changed as well.
Yeah.
Like you had different main decks.
We
the
went,
extra deck.
our theory on extra deck was very different.
Yeah.
So whilst Dom played the Gym Buster, I changed my lineup for the Xyz monsters. So we'll go for the Xyz first. So we've got Gigantic Spright.
Yeah.
Absolutely solid. Totally awesome. They're mandatory for every single Sprite deck. Sky Cavalry, Down a Magician, and the Zeus. Yeah, can't say more on that.
They're broken.
They're just so good. Because I lost pretty much every dice roll, I probably summoned Zeus about 80% of my games. Salmon Almirage, which is great for just your Swordfog plays. Sometimes I summoned normal summoned a Lilla. If I had extra extenders, I could turn it into an Almirage, which would protect my monsters from destruction if like a Ghost Ogre had come up.
There was like, you can actually, like, one interesting play is like if you're playing twins, or like you can just do this in general, but like you can normal summon and then you can protect Gigantic Sprite with Almirage, and then like it doesn't lose to Ghost Ogre.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing. So yeah, I'm playing 3 elf, and then I'm also playing the twins package. So I'm playing 1 of each.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish I played 2 Kiss a Kill, but the extra deck's extremely tight. But the elf are sort of extra copies of the revival of each of these. So if you have elf set up with 1 of these, if you activate Kiss a Kill to summon Lilla from the graveyard, if your opponent goes to DD Crow, Call by the Grave, Ghost Spell, you can then chain elf to summon it back anyway.
Yeah.
If you in a bit of a grind game, I've had it come up where I've been able to summon an elf, bring back just 1 of the twins, and then immediately go into Trouble Sunny, because Trouble Sunny just needs 1 evil twin. Trouble Sunny is great. You can tag it out to summon both of them back just to trigger their effects off. Also, you can banish from the graveyard to remove 1 and then use the effect to bring 1 back. So you can still use the Trouble Sunny effect even without the brick in the deck. That's for those. And then lastly, similar to Dom, just the IP Masquerena, Nightmare Unicorn, and Access Code Talker.
Yep.
I didn't really make Access Code Talker much this weekend. It was mainly making the Trouble Sunny for the damage. I think the Access Code Talker came up once.
Might be worth mentioning the unicorns added impact with the twin version.
So the Nightmare Unicorn, so you'd usually end on a board with like IP Masquerena, maybe the twins, and the elf. So with the board set up with these, you can use the IP Masquerader to take away the Lilla for the Nightmare Unicorn, and the Nightmare Unicorn is then co-linked, so you also get the draw once you've spun back your opponent's monster, and then of course you can use the effect of the Kisser Kill to bring back the Lilla for a extra interruption with a pop. So with that, you've got quite a lot of interruptions. You've got the draw effect of a unicorn. If your opponent adds a card from deck to hand, you can also use the Kisser Kill Frost in your graveyard to banish it and to draw a card as well.
Very nice.
So with the pure version of Spright, you'd probably play a card like Pot of Prosperity, but with this version, on your initial turn 1 combo, you're drawing a card off of Kisser Kill anyway. So that plus the 3 copies of the Sunny Snitch were more my consistency cards.
Yeah. All right. Let's quickly go over the side deck for both of you.
Sure.
So, first of all, I played 1 Pankratops.
Yes.
So this is an incredible going second card. It's a 1-of, and I had a 1 space left from my extra deck, so I went up to a vendor and thought, that's the card I'll play for the weekend.
Great.
Outside of me horribly misplaying with this, but from being like sleep deprived and dehydrated,
Yeah.
it's really good. Like me misplaying just because of tiredness is the only reason this card didn't help me in this tournament. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Free Gamma Driver. So this got sided in most times I know I was going second. Against Spright, a lot of the time it can end their board. Like, and it's really good because like the only real way to stop it is Ash Blossom, and because it's not once per turn, if you use on their normal summon, they actually get to board, they get like red, you activate it again and they're forced to red, and then they summon off Gigantic Spline. At that point, they're usually not in a good enough situation to carry on playing. Free Dark Ruler.
Yeah.
It breaks boards.
Yeah.
It's very in a break of the board format. It breaks the board. Free Lightning Storm Harpies. So what I think I should have done is I should have cut 2 of these, and I should have cut the Pank, and I should have run evenly matched, because it's better into tier. But I expected to see like at least some monkey flip Eldritch deck, and I was like, drawing Lightning Storm either baits a Judgment or it like lets you push the game there then and there. So I thought either way, I'm gonna feel like running this was like nice. I probably should have been like 2 evenly matched and cut Pank, and then you run 1-1. Because it's not that needed. It's a nice young second card, but yeah, it's literally just I want to remove floodgates from the board.
Yep.
And then the best floodgate again.
Yeah. Just polish it around.
Yeah, so the theory on this is I was either going to go with Locust or like a pointer, or I was going to go with this.
Yeah.
And I thought like this was the better play for the single reason of that if you activate a pointer in their turn, and then they can chain Super Poly, and then they can carry on going. But if you activate this, they're forced to use the Super Poly, though, and it means they can't enter battle phase.
Yeah.
Like, well, it means like they can't go to battle phase and then use it. So like, both of them achieve the same goal. But then if you're going second, it stops them off the field. It keeps like tear off field spell. It keeps Spright, so they have to lock themselves, meaning they can't really make Zeus that turn. Or they either can't use starter, or they can't summon Zeus.
Yeah.
And it forces them to make that decision. When a lot of times, like if you're playing in the mirror match, you want to activate Dark Ruler and then go for Zeus, nuke the board, starter, and then play your turn. It just keeps them off for it. So I felt like anti-spell was better. A pointer though, there is times, especially in Mathmech, where like you can just hit stuff like the circular, and if you can keep them off a circular, like hit them off the circular access is a lot better.
Yeah.
So I think I would have played a pointer going in, but like in hindsight, it should have been a pointer. But anti-spell was fine. I did a lot.
Robbie, off your side quickly.
Extremely similar. So just 3 Gamma Driver.
Yeah.
Don't really know more. My Spawn Trap removal is a little bit different, so I played 2 Lightning Storm. Went for chainable outs, so 2 Cosmic Cyclone, Reboot.
Yeah.
These came in really handy against Eldritch players. So I played against 2 Eldritch decks. Managed to use Cosmic Cyclone a few times. There was one game where I used Cosmic Cyclone. They chained another copy of Goes and Match. I chained another Cosmic Cyclone. It forced out a Solemn Judgment. And then Reboot's just Reboot. Reboot plus Zeus. I don't know how many decks can come back from that, to be honest. And then Anti-Spell. Kind of wish this was a pointer of the Red Lotus or Solemn Judgment. It was really good but it does kind of conflict with the Spright starter. So if you want to hold the starter, you can't really hold the starter. You've got to use it immediately before you use this. But all the smashers, if you want him to set the smashers to out something, you can't go for this. So
It's basically the issue is that turn 3 you're stopping yourself.
Yes.
And your turn 3 when you're trying to kill, starter is very useful because obviously it's an extra volume load. It means you can go for like gigantic cat shot plus any other damage. But you kind of keep yourself off of that damage. But yeah, I think the main reason why we played 2 separate decks for this is that we both went for different ideas on specifically. I wanted to run this card and extra follow-up in the form of Elf.
Yeah.
And he wanted to run the Evil Twin package.
yeah,
They're both really good. The Evil Twin package I think should have been 2 Kiss a Kill, 1 Lula because you don't need Triple Stunning because as much as it is just raw damage, Kiss a Kill, Lula Kiss a Kill will get you an extra draw in your turn, and then it also means that because you're on just Kiss a Kill, you can go Kiss a Kill back, summon Lula, pop a card, then you can IP for Unicorn, you draw another card off of that, plus when you summon back Kiss a Kill you get an extra draw, plus Frost gets you an extra draw, so you have four separate chances to get, like you basically draw 4 times in 2 turns. Compared to, which just means you cycle your hand, like obviously you have to pitch 1 for that, but cycling your hand for 4 cards is nice. However, this build, like with Gym Buster, you're a lot more safer into hand traps, and because you have the extra room, you get to play like the extra elf, which means you don't have to worry as much about going to your end games against stuff like Tier.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dom. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
Thank you.